want to title today's lesson so we can, our people who do recording of these kinds of things can know that the title today of today's lesson is "Egypt is the true, real cradle of civilization for the sons of Noah," and that's the official title now. That Egypt is the true / real cradle of civilization, as opposed to the so-called cradle of civilization in the Tigris-Euphrates River area. We're going to go over that once again today, as we get an opportunity to look at it. But the reason why I've determined now, and we want to challenge the universities and the historians regarding the true cradle of civilization, without malice or pretense, the universities that have long since kind of touted themselves as being the authority on the origins of civilization, such as Cambridge and Oxford, and then some of and when you're talking about Oxford or Cambridge in the UK, you're talking about universities that were established as many as 1,000 years ago. If you don't mind, I do a little name dropping. I did a lecture at at Oxford University, and the building I was in was over 1,000 years old. So it's been around for a while. So the newer upscale universities like Harvard and Yale, who also have now kicked in on their sense of having an authority on the origin of civilization, that usually runs counter to the Bible. Now, if you look at Neanderthal man, recently used by Joe Biden in describing the governor of Texas and others opening up their states to, a complete absolution of COVID-19 restrictions. The Neanderthal man, then there's the Cro-Magnon man, if you've got some sort of a archaeological history of him. And so these institutions have usually touted themselves as being the authority on the origin of civilization. And they've gone ahead and counter to the Bible, but somewhat in sync with the Bible, discovered that the region that we would normally refer to biblically as Babylon was the cradle of civilization, and the region that we refer to as Iraq within the Tigris and the Euphrates River. Now, to some degree, they have a bit of truth to chew on, in as much as at the initial opening stages of the Bible in Genesis chapter 1 and 2 and 3 regarding, in chapter 2 in particular, where the Garden of Eden was, that there were several rivers that flowed out from the garden. And one would suspect that that was the particular region in which the original birth of civilization may have happened within that region, and it would have been in the normality of the Tigris and the Euphrates area, or the area of Babylon. I'll give the institutions that tout themselves as the authority on civilization, or the cradle of the advent of civilization, some credit with respect to what the Bible has to say. But the Bible has a much more important and much more powerful demonstration of the real and true cradle of civilization. That is within the book of Genesis. That the true cradle of civilization is Egypt. And then the son of Ham, who is the founder and of Egypt and the builder of Egypt, his son Canaan built Canaan land, which later became Israel, which became the Holy Land of the entire planet. We're focusing on that now, because within the Bible itself, Genesis consists of 50 chapters, one of the longer books of the Bible. And the first 9 chapters deal pretty much without any reference in a major way about landmass area until we get to chapters 10 thereafter, and then we get the generations of Noah after the great flood. It appears that that Egypt becomes, for the next 40 chapters, all you hear is Egypt, 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 Egypt. And then, of course, there's Canaan. and everybody goes down to Egypt. So really, the book of Genesis could be called, the first 9 chapters could be called Genesis, but the next 40 chapters could be called Egypt. And Elizabeth reminded me of Princess Louis, one of the women of our church, who has a daughter. And ironically, her daughter is named Genesis Egypt. This is absolutely no joke. Her daughter is named Genesis Egypt, and I'm now saying the Bible could be called, the first 9 books could be called Genesis, and the next 40 chapters could be called Egypt, because that's all about. And lo and behold, we have actually a young girl in our school named Genesis Egypt. And just parenthetically about Genesis Egypt, her knee baby sister is going to be graduating this year from New York University in the master's degree program. I think her study of science and the master's degree program is visual arts or something along that nature. I'm not sure what it is, but she will be getting her master's from New York University, Genesis' knee baby sister. And then her older sister graduated a year or so ago from law school and now has passed the bar, and her older sister is now a lawyer who can sue you and drag you into court if you get out of hand. But Genesis Lewis is a younger of the two of them, says she's smarter than all 2 of them by 7-fold. And I believe it. I believe Genesis is smarter than both the one that's got the master's degree and the one that's got the law degree. But her name is Genesis Egypt. We're going to see how that works out. There may be something to that. I don't know. There may be something about that prophetically. We'll have to see. I've been asked the Lord to talk to me about Egypt, and so we'll see. This happened some time ago during the Great Light teaching, I think it was, or the Nile River teaching, that she got that name. So I will come. So let's see what's happening. But I'm here to say, not really, the true cradle of civilization is Egypt. And we're going to promote this in every way we possibly can. I do want to say as well, there are going to be a lot of people that push back on Egypt. There are going to be folk who will push back on the finds of the archaeologists. In fact, there's some archaeological finds that was just found in the Sinai Peninsula around the Dead Sea area that one would argue about them being a part of the Dead Sea Scrolls. And it's supposed to be the fossils of an infant child going back several millenniums. I have my suspicions about carbon dating. I do. I have my suspicions about chromosome dating as well. I have my suspicions about scientific carbon dating, that is to say that they date a fossil or a bone or a piece of wood or cloth based on the carbons within the textures of the item being dated. I don't believe their accuracy. I don't believe that they are accurate. I think that there is that science I don't trust. Neither do I trust the genome science regarding chromosomes and the DNA. I don't trust it. I think that it is malfunctioned. And here is the reason why the DNA, I don't trust DNA chromosomes teaching, because various climates produce various types of DNA. Let me tell you why I don't trust the chromosomes and the carbon dating. It's very simple. The reason being is because the scientists tell us. Now I'm going to get back to the 40 chapters of Egypt. I just want to establish something, because Cambridge and Oxford and Harvard and all those people are going to come after us with their scientific Nobel Prize winners and everything of that sort. But let me share something with you. If you ask each one of these institutes, especially those who talk about chromosomes and DNA and carbon dating as a scientific measure of the true cradle of civilization, here's what they're going to do. They're going to pull out their carbon dating, and they're going to pull out their chromosome genome, if you will, testing. But here's what they also say scientifically. Cambridge, Oxford, Harvard, the rest of them, they all declare in many ways that man has evolved from being an ape. In fact, the Neanderthal man, the Cro-Magnon man, and there's another one as well, that we evolved that from being an ape, that man has now become a upright walking individual. But let's say 1,000,000 years ago, he was an ape. And that's what Cambridge, Oxford, and the people who do DNA testing, and the DNA results are as flawed as anything can be flawed. And let me tell you why I refute the fact that we have evolved from apes, and why I refute the DNA or the genome testing. I refute it categorically, and I will never allow myself to accept the DNA or teaching or the carbon dating of any instrument, because they all rely on the same scientific paradigms, if you will. The Bible clearly states, my brother, that God made the animals, period, and then he made man. God didn't make the animal and then the animal became man. It's a lie. That Cambridge, it's a lie. That Oxford, it's a lie. That Harvard, it's a lie. Those who do chromosome or DNA testing and say we have evolved from this or that, it is a flat out ignorant lie, and it's a lie against God. We did not evolve from apes. God created the ape, and he's still an ape. In fact, I saw someone walking down 125th Street the other day. I take that back. Somebody will say that's racist. That's the other thing. No, the Bible is clear, my brother. Do not trust the DNA testing. Do not trust carbon dating. Do not trust these scientific fallacies that are placed by these institutions. They are misleading. And they would want you to think that man evolved from an ape to become a man. That's not true. It isn't true. The Bible says God created the beasts of the field, and he created all the animals, including the monkeys and the apes and everybody else, and there's still monkeys and apes, but he created man, and then he created woman from the rib of man. And that's it. We are not an evolution. We did not evolve. Our DNA does not, listen, it is fallacy, it is wrong. All right, let's be clear about what we can be clear about. Now, Cambridge and Oxford and Harvard and all the rest of them don't believe the biblical account. They don't. They are trying to convince you through their DNA and carbon dating testing, they're trying to convince you that somehow or another we evolved from the animal kingdom. It's ridiculous on its face. It's patently ridiculous to think that that's what God did, that God couldn't make up his mind to make man at first. So it made him a monkey. And then man decided he didn't want to be a monkey anymore. Oh, man, it's ridiculous. And there is no way of scientific accuracy about DNA, about genome testing, and about carbon dating as well. Did I make myself clear? So here, what we do have biblically as the most authoritative book on planet Earth is the Bible. Not the Bhagavad Gita, not the Quran, and not any other religious book, not the secret doctrines of Madame Blavatsky. The most authoritative book on the planet is the Bible, and the one that's well respected by all people. And the Bible declares, in a contemporary way with a prophet that we can respect in the name of Moses, that the first book of the Bible is about one land and about two people. The land is Egypt, and the people, the two persons are, one is Shem, who was the father of the Semites or the Shemites, and Ham, who's the father of the Hamites, of which I am a son thereof. Now, at some point in this teaching, a little bit later down the road, I'll tell you why what you see in the modern day, the man that ultimately that evolved, that went down into Africa as Canaan, and later became slaves, why he is not of the breed of the Canaanites that built Jericho or the Hamites that built Egypt. We'll get to that later, but not now. But what I do want to express to you is that just a casual understanding, you don't have to be a theologian, of the Bible to see, if you read Genesis, all it's going to talk about is Egypt, 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 Egypt. Several years ago, a great rock and roll group, a bunch of brothers called themselves the Coasters, had a song called Little Egypt. It was funny as anything could be funny. Those boys could sing too, by the way. No special overdubbing. They didn't have any special mics and didn't have any major, if you will, boards where they could amplify one sound. And Lord, those boys could just sing up a storm. They came along with a group known as the Drifters, Shep and the Limelights, and Frank and Lyman and the Teenagers, and all that crowd at about the same time later evolved into groups like the Temptations and the Motown Sound. Little Egypt. But the Bible is about Egypt, the first 5 books. And then everything that proceeds after that, even the other 4 books of the Pentateuch, and then all the prophets, it's about Canaan land. And, I say this without malice. And with no intent of injury to anyone. But the thing that I think is most fascinating here is that the Japheth man, Noah had 3 sons. One was Shem, the other was Ham, of which we are now discussing as the major persons that occupy the 39 books of the Old Testament. The Japheth son of Noah, the Bible doesn't even mention him in the Old Testament. He doesn't get mentioned, except for the fact that Noah declared that Canaan would serve him as a slave. But beyond that, he doesn't get mentioned. Japheth does not produce any prophets in the Old Testament. No prophets come from the realm of Japheth. No major themes, no major lands, or the Bible does not discuss Japheth. And just to get your attention, just to grip you, but not to make you angry, I don't want you to make you angry, but I want to grip you by saying that the white man is excluded from the Old Testament. There's nothing in there about him. There's nothing in there in the Old Testament, not the 39 books. There's occasional mention about the Assyrians. There's an occasional mention about the Hittites and others. And then there's the mention of the Moabites, the Amorites. But all of those are either children that were born of the incestuous relationship between Lot and his 2 virgin daughters after the horrific event of Sodom and Gomorrah, or the sons of Ishmael or Esau, that were either the brother of Jacob, Esau, and then you got the Assyrians, Hittite, or Ishmael, which was the older son of Abraham, but who didn't get the blessing. So between Ishmael, who would be the older, he was born of Hagar in Abraham's relationship. And then there would be Esau, who was older than Jacob, who was born of Isaac and Rebekah, and then there and his progeny, his children, and then there would be Moab, or the Moabites or the Amorites. But the Japheth man, the white man, and I say white, because that really makes you think about it for just a second. He's not mentioned in the Old Testament. And then when we get to the New Testament, Jesus says, don't go to him. Now, ultimately, he does get reached, and he gets reached in a very powerful and honorable way. But in expressing to you the power of Egypt, the power of Ham, my father, the power of Canaan, my brother, the power of Shem, my uncle, and Egypt itself, in terms of the original and the true cradle of civilization, it is absolutely exhilarating when you unearth it this way. I think one of the things that has happened of late is that Cambridge and Oxford and Harvard and all these other, snooty-nosed institutions have tried to bamboozle us with a lot of talk about DNA, or a lot of talk about genomes, or a lot of talk about carbon dating, or a lot of talk about evolution. They've tried to bamboozle us. If you go to Cambridge or you go to one of these snooty institutions, they're going to tell you that we are an evolution, that we evolved, that 100,000 years ago we didn't talk, we walked on all four. It's a lie, but it's one that they perpetrated. And it's one that they've got the world believing, thinking that they have somebody, that they know something about our DNA and about, they don't. Trust me, trust the Bible. God did not create man from a monkey. He created a monkey and put the monkey where he put him. He created man and put the man in authority over the monkey. Damn it. I mean, it's just ridiculous that these institutions have been able to perpetrate these lies, confessing themselves to be some sort of scientific genius on what is right and what is it's unbiblical. Yeah, some preachers who run around talking about we evolved. If anything as crazy as that, I don't, that we've evolved from 100,000 years ago, in the Neanderthal man and the Cro-Magnon man and some other creep they had. I studied from years ago. You probably remember those people in your 8th grade archaeology and geography classes as well. No, my friend, Egypt is the true cradle of civilization. And where the Tigris-Euphrates River, the cradle of civilization that we find, if you want to say that of the first 9 chapters where Cain and Abel may have inhabited and where Adam and Eve were posted outside of the Garden of Eden was in that general region, I may not argue so fiercely that it did not start there. Then you say, well, if you say that, Pastor, then they do have some sense of the birthplace of the advent of creation, of civilization rather. And I will argue that more in detail when I have an opportunity to argue geographically about what the Bible says in Genesis chapter 2. In fact, the word ATLAH comes from the Genesis chapter 2 understanding, where the place where Adam and Eve were initially put out of the garden. There are several rivers. There are 4 rivers that flowed from that. One was named Pison, and then the other was named Gihon. And the land in which they were in was a land called Havilah. And the Bible says that the Havilah is a land where there's gold. Thank you, Mr. India. Thanks so very much. These are the names of those rivers. The name of the first one is Pison, which covers the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. Now, that is certainly not in the region of Canaan or Africa, and I'll give you that. But I think what's important here is that you'll notice that I've given the title of our thesis here, that Egypt is the true and real cradle of civilization for the sons of Noah. And when you look at the preposition for the sons of Noah added to the actual subject matter and the verb action in that title, for the sons of Noah do in a preposition way is that it then declares that all of the earth is now populated by the sons of Noah, not by the sons of Adam or Eve or Cain or Abel. The sons of Noah, because when Noah landed that ark, there was nobody but him, his 3 sons, his daughter-in-law, and his wife. And so the whole earth is now covered by Shem, the sons of Shem, the sons of Ham, and the sons of Japheth. And I repeat, Japheth has absolutely no mention whatsoever in the 39 books of the New Testament, Old Testament, in a meaningful way. So you might find some passage here there that makes reference of the white man Japheth. But no, it's my father Ham who really is dominant in the Old Testament. I'm coming back to that. I need to take a break. I want to salute Genesis Egypt Lewis, who we'll see what happens with her a little bit later on, and congratulate her mother for having the wisdom to name her that many years ago. There she is, Genesis Egypt Lewis. There she is. She says she's smart. I believe she's smarter than her 2 sisters by 7-fold. Make the other 2 mad. This is symbolic. It's where Jesus was baptized. It's where John baptized. And so this is not a rebaptism. It's just a symbolic, if you will, act of what we're going to do, being in the water at the place where Jesus was baptized. And what I'd like to do is to baptize today that we would come to terms with the understanding of what God is calling for in righteousness. He's not calling for prosperity. He isn't calling for culturalism, God is calling for righteousness. If we would commit ourselves to fulfill all righteousness, and God has calls us to be persecuted for righteousness' sake, as John was persecuted for righteousness, and so Jesus. I got to tell you that I'll never forget this experience of actually stepping in the water where Jesus were baptized, and where John has baptized so many people. This is such a historic and a powerful, powerful sight. Just to touch the water was so critical. And I'm glad that people got baptized to have that experience. It was a safe experience and a great experience. I'm not even going to change my clothes. I want to just stay in baptism mode until I get back to the hotel. So that's what I want to say. All right.
This has been live from the Jordan River. God bless you all. Peace.
Righteousness. Boom, chakalaka goes right there.
My mother started liking the school and let me come here every single year. It has been 5 years and now I'm in the 7th grade. I still love this school. It has taught me a lot of things about the world and all around it, and let me see things I've never seen before, like me participating in the history fair last year. I would like to give thanks to all my classmates for making me feel comfortable and at home here. Please, to all the new and old parents in the school, don't take your kids out of the school, because it will probably be the biggest mistake you've ever made. No matter what type of child you have, this school will shape it into a world's leader. So do yourselves a favor. Oh my goodness. Okay. So do yourselves a favor and keep your kids here till they graduate, and it will change yours and your child's life. Peace and blessings.
Over the years, we have served more than 1 million meals to hungry bellies and hungry people here in the Harlem community. And I wanted you to be able to see that. I want you to see our involvement with youth, our summer youth programs, our courtyard being used as a place where children can be safe, guarded, and protected as they have their miniature swimming pools. And a safe place for children to eat that is guarded, that is protected by our own sense of security, and the wholesome and fresh meals that we serve. We wanted you to be able to see the mission of this church, and we've been doing this for years. Just recently, one of our members, more than a 30-year member of this church, but it hasn't, not one that that you would probably find as members of some other churches with their nose stuck up in the air. But her father is now close to death or very sick in the state of South Carolina. And I said to her, because she doesn't have money, I said, we will buy you a bus ticket, a round trip bus or train ticket for you to travel to South Carolina to be with your father in this time of pandemic. There's very little funding around. There's sickness everywhere. And the thing that just blew me away was she said, as she was talking to Elizabeth, she said, but how are you going to do that? To pay for me a round trip ticket to travel and give me expense money? And because Pastor Manning has to feed the children. He has to educate the children. He has to buy school supplies for them. He has to pick them up in the mornings and take them back. And then he's got the ministry he has to take care of, all the bills of running the church, of keeping a major house like our house operational, keep the lights on, how are you going to be able to do that? And she was almost reluctant to take the money because she felt that it would be better served by feeding the children. We gave it to her anyway. But we want you to know that we do a work in this community. There have been a lot of lies told on us. And it's almost unimaginable why some of the people that have lied on us. But I can tell you behind all of it is the LGBTQ community. Hallelujah. They don't want us to be successful, but we are, and we're going to continue to be successful in serving the meals that we're serving and serving the people that we are. And the LGBTQ community will not take us down. They are not going to take our church. Yet they've defamed us. They've written ugly newspaper articles about us. They've marched against us. They've done a whole lot of ugly things. But you see what we have done, and that's not even the half of our service to children and to the needy in terms of our homeless shelters and the things that we've done over the years, and we will continue. And probably the lies and the smears and the ugly newspaper articles and the wicked spirits and the so-called I ain't for the black man, that is not going to go away. I don't expect it to go away. I don't. But I do tell you this, that we will succeed against all of that, for God is with us, and I am his servant.